Hello, welcome to the Templar Report. I'm your guest presenter, Jada Franson, and we should be broadcasting live onto Purge TV. So thank you for joining me, and let me know if you can see and hear me all right. I hope everyone's having a good week. I can see lots of people in the chat, which is good. Good. Let me just move over here so I can say hello to you all. All right, I'm assuming we're all good. Ivan's the first one in. Good day to you. Nice to see you. Oh, Ivan, I haven't forgotten. I saw your message yesterday about, well, I almost forgot, to be fair, about pictures from the knighting ceremony, the 2025 knighting ceremony. So I will have a look. I'm sure. Thank you, Roger. I'm sure I've got loads. I don't know if I've given them to anyone already, so it might be duplicates, but I shall send them all over to you. I'll bombard you with them all, and then you can do your thing, because Ivan does a lot of work behind the scenes, for those of you who don't know, and we're very grateful for all of the work that you put in, actually. So there we go. Wes, greetings in Christ to you. Nice to see you. And Bob as well. Nice to see you. And Charles. Hello, Charles. Who else have we got? Oh, I've just lost my place. Okay, there we go. I'm back. And Ken is in as well. Nice to see you, Ken. Brian Payton, good day to you. And Texas Temper, Scott Phillips, good morning. Nice to see you. Good afternoon, Lady Matriarch. And Peter Holder as well. And Mr. Griffin's in. Nice to see you. And Hugo as well. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Watching on my phone, getting ready to go to the football. We'll read chat later. I hope everything is well. Deus Volt. Good. I'm sure everything's fine. Roger, I don't know if I said hello to you, but I've said it again. So there you go, just in case. And Duncan as well from Canada. Nice to see you, Duncan. And Hugo says, P.S. Thank you, Sister Franson, for the lovely delivery. I got it today. Good stuff. I'm pleased that you got it. Who else have we got? John Kopasaki's in. Nice to see you, John. Good. Lots of people in. All right. So there's lots to talk about at the moment. I don't want to cover too much of what Jim spoke about yesterday, because there's loads going on in the UK at the moment. There's lots going on in the UK. But I know that Jim showed you some stuff. So I'll show you a bit later on some of the things that are happening in the UK. But first of all, I want to show you this video that I saw earlier. Now, let me see if I can pull this up, some context, because I don't know the exact figure that I saw. I'm sure the person that posted, now, to be fair, the post that this came from is not the most reliable account, but this is something that's relatively easily verified. I don't have a chance to do it at the moment, but let's just see. No, I can't find it. I'm going to show you this video anyway. Maybe someone I don't know if you guys can tell me if I'm off the mark here. Someone posted this and said that this is New York, and that New York has 518 mosques. Is that right? 518 mosques in New York. And they said, with so many mosques, why are the Muslims doing this? Let me show you.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
I mean, I'm used to seeing this kind of stuff in London, Birmingham, the major cities in the United Kingdom. In fact, I think it's now Manchester. Am I right here? Manchester, Birmingham, London are now minority. Whites are a minority. White people are a minority. They're no longer the majority, let's say. They're no longer the majority in the capital, London and Birmingham. So I'm used to seeing scenes like this. I'm used to seeing it, but not in America. So I don't know. I was quite shocked, and I was shocked as well to see like 500 mosques. Yeah. So the Templar Report says New York has over 1 million Muslims now. And Lady Matrix says domination. Yeah, absolutely. That's a show of strength.
I agree, Frog Face. Absolutely agree. That's why I'm playing these. She's a friend of mine.
I've seen one. I know, Charles. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? And you know what? Like, over the last couple of days, we've been covering what's going on in the UK.
They're talking about a civil war over in England. It's getting so bad.
Okay, with the flags and what have you, and obviously the Christian Nationalist Party are running a campaign at the moment to give away free flags to British patriots.
I'm almost at the point wondering if that's going to happen here. Hi, Mark. I thought you it wasn't you, it was John that was going to come on.
And it's weird because on my social media, right, because I've been outspoken against Israel, a lot of people on the right wing are quite close-minded. I'm sorry to say this is stereotype people, but they are. They believe that if you're against Muslims, you have to be pro-Israel. Whereas actually, if you're politically astute and you're mature in your political knowledge and growth, you'll understand that Israel is actually at the root of many problems. And so being anti-Islam in the West does not mean being pro-Jew or pro-Israel. They don't equate. Equally, being anti-Israel doesn't mean that you're pro-Islam. I've never been pro-Islam. I think everybody knows that. And so, but it's a strange thing. So because I've spoken out against Israel for a long time, I have a lot of Muslims that follow my account. Now, obviously, they don't like all the stuff. You know, I don't mince my words with these people. I've told them I think you should go home and all the rest of it. And but a lot of them are following me. And the last couple of days, I've been posting up about the flags that are going up in the UK. And I'll show you a bit of it in a minute so that there's some context, because there might be some people watching today.
And their government keeps taking them down. They've taken down British flags. It's unbelievable.
They that weren't watching the Christian Nationalist Party show yesterday when Jim showed all of this. But the reaction of some of the people that are following my account is, oh, this is pathetic, you know, putting their flags up. These people, you know, do you know what?
Could you imagine if you couldn't put the American flag up and the government was taking them down?
The new people in our country, whether they be the Muslims or the Sub-Saharans or even the British establishment themselves, I am telling you, they underestimate the British. They really do. Because yes, arguably, arguably, this has taken far too long for the Brits to wake up. But something is stirring in the United Kingdom, and the establishment are not going to be able to keep a lid on it. They are not. And so these flags that are going up, this isn't some silly, oh, let's all put our flags up and have a nice time. No, you know, these men are climbing ladders. These are high ladders. I've been up the side of these buildings, right? We've been running these campaigns, a flag for every house, for 5 years. I've been up the side of some serious...
You don't believe how bad it's getting there. It seems like they have rape gangs and they won't arrest them for these rape gangs over in England now. It's like almost totally allowed now. And if you say anything, you can go to jail over there. They're arresting 30 British people a day for things they're posting or saying. 30 people a day.
Seriously tall buildings in Belfast. And I don't particularly like ladders, but I've done it myself, right? This isn't an easy gig. Some of these people are using... what do you call them, like cherry picker. So people are using plant to get this done. This isn't some drunken rabble. This is a planned, orchestrated operation to raise the colours of the United Kingdom by British patriots, Christian nationalists. Now, the new people are looking on and going, oh, this is silly. No, it's a show of strength. That's what it is. And it's a reclaiming our territory. And just like we saw there, I won't play the whole thing again because of the horrible music, but just quickly.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
Yeah, that's enough of that. As Charles quite rightly pointed out, that is a show of strength. And, you know, the fact that we've allowed those kind of numbers to accrue is extraordinarily daft. Liberalism is a curse. It really is. And it's infiltrated every single element of our establishment, the mainstream media, the education system. Thankfully, there's a pushback now, but, you know, we shouldn't be in a position where there's 1 million Muslims in New York. You know, imagine if it went off tomorrow. There's a lot of people. Anyway, that's a show of strength. Charles is right. And thankfully, we're starting to see a show of strength and resistance, albeit people might snigger. You know, there are people that are following me online from the Muslim community, and they're like, oh, you know, what's that going to achieve? Listen, once the British men start to mobilize and take things seriously, and look, as silly as it might sound, mobilizing and saying, right, lads, let's all meet up at this time. Let's all get hold of some flags and get this machinery, get this equipment so that we can get up and do this. This is not knowing as well that a lot of the time you're behind enemy lines, you're in enemy territory, and the establishment's probably going to come after you. It isn't actually a game. It's not a joke. So whilst I'm pleased to see what's going on in the UK, we have vast numbers of these people, millions and millions of these people. I was just shocked to see that in New York. Brian says, good day. Nice to see you, Brian. And Roger said,
hey, Kurt.
581 in New York State and 194 so it wasn't 518, 581 in the state of New York and 194 in New York City.
I just thought I'd show you kind of what's going on in England, Britain.
And Duncan says they block the streets here all the time in Canada. It's the same here, Duncan. It's the same here. It's the same here. It's unbelievable, really, because the double standards in the UK are just incredible. Like if we
500 and some mosque, and they still go out in the streets and do this. This is a political statement when they block the streets with their prayer thing. That's what they're doing.
Were to go out on the streets and hold a Christian nationalist rally or a Templar rally,
you get arrested,
and we block the roads, honestly, they would be prescribing us as a terrorist organization. But the left do it. Those silly ones that glue their hands to the road and all that. I'd pull them off myself. And actually, they were scaling the gantries on the motorway in England, which is seriously stupid. Stopping all the traffic, people were dying, people were getting stuck, needing medical attention, couldn't get ambulances. I mean, real life consequences, real life ramifications of the actions of these people, these smelly lefties. And somehow the establishment turn a blind eye. I guarantee, and they turn a blind eye to these guys blocking the road. I guarantee you that they would not turn a blind eye if this were Christian nationalists doing this. I guarantee that. And let me see if I can pull some stuff up here, because this is where are we? Let me show you a little bit of footage, right? That's come out of the UK. So it's about the same sort of thing that Jim was talking about yesterday. So you presumably you all saw the videos of the people putting the flags up. We've got this Operation Raise the Colours going on in the UK at the moment. There are men that are raising the standards of the United Kingdom all up and down the country. And, look, this isn't unusual in Northern Ireland. There's flags everywhere. And
John Blackfeather, I'm worried that if you did do a vigilante thing, then it would give the government an excuse to come down on the people that are doing it. Sort of like how they came down on the Proud Boys,
We've been running a campaign, a flag for every house, for 5 years.
They use it as an excuse.
So, me personally, I've got experience in putting these things up. But let me tell you something. It's not the same on the mainland. In England, you put a flag.
John, a little later in the next video, they're going to be talking about the Crusades thing again. It might end up coming to that. They need to deport them. That's what they need to do.
Up outside your own house. Do you remember a few years ago?
It's either assimilate or deport.
Traitor. Member of Parliament, Labour, obviously, which is the current government that we have now, the Marxist government that we have now. And this MP took a photograph of somebody's house. I think it was one of our own constituents, actually, which took a photograph of someone's house because they had loads of St. George's Cross bunting and St. George's Cross flags, which is the flag of England. So it shouldn't be surprising to anyone. Christian country, Christian cross, Christian nation, our flag. They had it outside. And
their government's taken down their flags.
There was a white van parked on the drive, and this snobby member of Parliament woman put up a post saying, oh, look, white van driver, typical white van driver, just pure snobbery. Listen, not so long ago, that level of contempt, and I'm only talking like, a few decades ago, that level of contempt publicly displayed by a member of Parliament would have seen men on the streets chasing them out with pitchforks. Now, it wouldn't have been a woman, because we never used to have women as members of Parliament, and we shouldn't have now. And I say that as a woman myself, so you didn't mishear me. You heard me correctly. Absolutely crazy. But that's what we've got. There's the double standards. And they're not even basically saying, oh, look, a man that works for a living and drives a van is obviously going to decorate his house in flags. How trashy. This was the angle. you know, just these people, they absolutely hate us.
The biggest problem over there is they got these rape gangs, and the government is totally looking the other way.
They hate us. So you've seen, presumably on the show yesterday, if you didn't see it, then
they believe they can go around raping non-Muslim women.
You can catch it up on the replay on the Christian Nationalist Party channel. Jim did a very good show last night showing about Operation Raise the Colours. The Christian Nationalist Party have launched a campaign to provide flags to people, individuals. We've been doing this for years, but we've just kind of reignited it because we've been trying to get this to the mainland for a long time. Like personally, I've been into estates and said, this is what you need to do. And the people don't quite get it. They did see it as a bit of a gimmick. Like they didn't quite understand it. Something has snapped in the English psyche, and they're like, okay, we get this now. We need to reclaim our territory. So they've been putting flags up on lampposts, on bridges, and people have been putting them outside shops. So we've opened it up and said, listen, we will send British patriots a free flag to put outside their houses. So that's the flags covered. Anyway, didn't stop there. This has also been happening. Let me show you.
He's painting a red cross on that turnabout. And before the next morning, the government will come and cover that up. They'll cover it up because it might offend someone other than Christians.
But hey, that's what we like. This is what we like. Again, in Northern Ireland, here we have curbstones painted red, white, and blue. I've been subtly trying to drop that hint online for people to pick up. And they will do. I'm sure they will do. The men of the United Kingdom, especially on the mainland, are starting to see the benefit of marking out territory. And it isn't just a gimmick.
I know.
The Muslims don't get it.
That's the reason why they're flooding the country, because they hate Christianity. They're desperate to take it down.
They don't get. Do you know what? They should get it. Because if you look at Muslim areas, and I'm going to just call a spade here, right? If you look at Muslim areas in the...
Good question there, John. I don't know. They've been doing it. And they... You seen what was happening in England with that one girl that was defending her sister. I think she was 14 and the younger girl was like 11 that was about to be raped. And the girl had the hatchet and a knife and was defending her. And the British government went after them for this girl defending her younger 11-year-old sister that was about to be raped. And she had a hatchet and a knife. Over in England, you've seen them. I got a little bit on that coming up.
United Kingdom, they are dumps. And I'm sorry, but they are. They are downtrodden dumps. They are a mess, an absolute mess. And, I don't care if that offends anyone and it sounds like I'm stereotyping, because that's just the case. If you go to areas that are predominantly white British, they look completely different to areas that are multicultural and especially that are predominantly Muslim occupied. They run the place into the ground.
Mark, that's a real British flag?
I don't know. I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, is this some
I know
kind
someone
of,
go with the Red Cross.
Like weird subconscious, like
white and red flag.
You've been in our lands, and even though we came to their lands to develop their lands, but you've been in our lands and now we're going to come to yours and just destroy it. I don't know, actually. I mean, look,
come here and get the freebies.
I do believe that the United Kingdom, much like the United States and throughout the West, but especially the UK and the US, we have meddled in
kids.
Parts of the Middle East where we had absolutely no business, and we were doing the bidding of Israel, the 1948 Israel, which we should never have done. I agree with all of that. I do. And I know that there's been a lot of destruction. There's been a lot of devastation. And I get it. People are angry. It has caused mass immigration. I get all of that. We've explained it all. I hope everybody understands this now. What I don't understand is these like second, third generation immigrants that are like, you know, we don't know we don't know anywhere else. You know, you brought our people here, or our people came here to build your country, which is nonsense. They didn't build our country. Certainly didn't build the United Kingdom, didn't build the United States of America. That was white Europeans. But they say, oh, we're not leaving. This is our home. We're not leaving, right? So if this is their home, why do they run it into the ground? I don't understand. It's almost like,
because they get everything
are they doing this as some kind of payback? Because meanwhile, the byproduct is they live
which isn't
in
really
abject
free.
squalor.
We're paying for it.
Or is it just, you know, is it just that we're not all the same? Like, I do firmly believe that. I don't believe that God makes mistakes. I don't hate these people, by the way. Like, I just want to be really clear. I don't hate these people. I don't hate people for being different to me. But I don't want to live among them all. And I don't believe that God made a mistake, like accidentally made me extraordinary.
Mark, do you know what year exactly that England became Britain? Because England was separate from Ireland and Scotland and all that, and Wales.
Ordinarily different to, you know, an African
was it recognized
or
as
someone from China. I don't believe that was accidental. I believe in the Bible. The Bible states that God created respective nations for
even the colonies over here,
set the boundaries thereof. I believe all of that, you know, and I don't believe in just hating people because they're different to me. I don't. But when you put all the people together, you see the difference culturally and just like domestically, just squalor. So in that respect, actually, that ties in with the next bit, because I showed you what they did on that roundabout. They're painting. So the boys are out, Operation Raise the Colours. The boys are out, they're painting the roundabouts. Now, let me see if I can show you this, actually, because I have a picture of our curbs here. I wonder if I can share my screen with you. This is what I'm trying to just subtly, you know, subtlety is probably not my strongest point. Let me see. Share screen. There we go. So, share. Where are we? You see that? See that there? This is, so I've put here in Northern Ireland, loyalists and patriots paint the curbstones red, white and blue. Just saying. Just saying. Just a
somehow that's racist.
Operation Raise the Colours. So you see there the curbs and the lampposts. Look, lampposts are painted and the curbstones red, white and blue.
That's racist to the left.
So this is not unusual here, but it is unusual on the mainland. It is. And so anyway, I was encouraged to see the fellas out painting the roundabout. And of course, the lefties are out. This is vandalism. This is vandalism. Don't talk to me about vandalism.
So it was before 1492 then.
Your boys have been spraying all the pro-Palestine mob have been spraying war memorials. Spraying war. I saw a video earlier. One of them, some tranny, right? Pro-Palestine tranny. Listen, this is why we can't all unite on this issue. Because I am for Palestinians having a homeland. I am for Israel leaving Palestinians alone, stop genocide. And I'm for all of that. But you can't unite with these people. These people are crazy. This guy is a man in a dress sprayed "Never Again Is Now" on a war memorial. And then they want to talk about vandalism because someone's painted a red cross in our Christian nation on a roundabout. You know, the double standards are unbelievable. And this is why, you know, a long time ago, people said, Ken said, what is the mainland? The mainland being Great Britain. So England, Scotland, Wales as well. But this is mainly in England, not Northern Ireland. Obviously, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is made up of England, Ulster, Scotland, Wales. In Northern Ireland, the curbs are painted, the lampposts are painted, the flags are up, the bunting's out, everybody's parading. This is not the status quo in England. And the boys are starting to do their thing. So let me show you what the council did. Those boys are painting the roundabouts. This is what the council came out and did. Now, you'll see on the little text on this video, this is the same council that have been leaving total squalor, hundreds of bin bags, to the point, actually, to their credit, some Muslims in Birmingham borough, right, in this borough, in this part of the world, in this part of the UK, some Muslims actually hired private refuse trucks, to their credit. They're not all bad. I'm not saying they're all bad, you know, but to their credit, they hired private refuse trucks to clear the waste because Birmingham Council weren't picking it up because they were all striking because we've got a Labour government, it's a communist government. We said this, do you remember last year? We
Same
said,
thing as the
showed you all the
Democrats here.
videos about what it was like
Or
under the last
commies.
Labour government. I don't even remember it. It was before my memory, but it's terrible. And I said it's coming back. And so that same Birmingham Council that can't be bothered to come and pick up the rubbish, this is what they do.
I can't go back. Oh, maybe I can go 10 seconds back. Watch.
And so that same Birmingham Council that can't be bothered to come and pick up the rubbish, this is what they do.
They're painting those crosses already. Right away. They paint those crosses out, make them white again. They won't let the cross or Christian symbol be there. Then right in front of a church.
Straight out to clear the roundabout. Straight out to clear the roundabout. Can't possibly have a red cross on our English roundabout. Can't possibly have that, right? So that's Birmingham. This is what they did overnight. Someone painted it. They came out within hours. Early the next morning, that was them clearing it. Now, just down the road, this is another site where the pro-Palestinian lefty mob and the Muslims all live. And look at this.
Bees. What the fuck? I want to go up there. I can't go anywhere.
Sorry about the language. Literally every single video that comes out of the UK that's online, I have to bleep. I didn't have a chance to bleep that. You see the state of that? It's just, yeah, Ken said nasty. It's just nasty. It's just, you know, it like so run down. Why do they live like it? I don't understand. You come to a developed country, everybody here is not living like that. And they are driving it into the ground. But the point is, the council will come out and they will, overnight, within hours, they will come out and they will remove the red paint so there's no longer a cross on the roundabout. But they won't clear those Palestinian flags away. They are literally ripping English flags down and British flags down, but they won't clear those Palestinian flags away. And look, I'm going to just point out the obvious. They are trying to antagonize people. They are trying to provoke a reaction. Now, I have to say, I'm not even that bothered that they're trying to do that. And you might be surprised at that. You might think, oh, that's unlike you. But I'll tell you why I'm not bothered is because this has been a long time coming. And what the British establishment aren't banking on is that once they lift the lid on this, there will be no containing it. I am amazed and infuriated and exhausted that it has taken the British
you know
people
that area?
so long to get to this point. I'm going to be completely honest. You know, people say, oh, you're punching right again. I don't care about what the Mohammedans do. I actually don't care if they want to live in abject squalor. It saddens me because it's my beautiful country. But if they want to live in abject squalor, fine, whatever, do what you want. I'd rather they did it in their own country, but they're here. If they want to live like that, fine. What I care about is my people, you know, my people having some get up and go. Why aren't my people saying we're not having them do this to our country? And finally, the British are rising up. It's been a long time coming. It has really been a long time coming, but it's happening. So it's kind of bittersweet.
I think that's going to come to America at some point. probably sooner rather than
in
later.
a little way, because it's like we've got to the point where Jim said this yesterday, 1 million girls had to be raped. Entire towns and cities had to be colonized. Squalor like that is seen in the streets. We've got Muslim mayors that don't even speak English throughout the country, throughout England. And finally, something has snapped. So,
Hey, Gregory.
you know, I wish it was sooner, but this is where we are. But what the interesting thing is, you know, the establishment are provoking this really with no mechanism to get this back in the box when it's out. And I think I said to Jim last week, you know, when we saw the politician, we saw a councillor, an elected Labour councillor, Ricky Jones. We have a petition running, an open letter running to the Attorney General in the UK at the moment, calling for the Attorney General to retry the man. I don't have the video actually accessible. I might be able to find it for you. There's an elected official, a councillor in England that stood at a rally
Where are you at,
on a
John?
loudhailer in front of thousands of lefties and said,
Where's that happening, John?
we need to cut all their throats and get rid of them all, about the people that were protesting against the guy that slaughtered 3 beautiful little innocent children in Southport. And he got not guilty. He got off. Now, the law wasn't applied there. But of course, you know, you're going to sit before a jury of his peers. The whole judicial system is sewn up. They're never going to appoint a jury. Never going to allow a jury of white British right-wingers in instances like that. And so, you know, I saw that and I thought, I kind of knew it was coming, right? Kind of knew it was coming. But I remember saying last week to someone, do you think this might be the straw that broke the camel's back? This not guilty verdict? I don't know. It's like it's all building up. It's all building up. But don't ever underestimate how much these people, no matter what your right-wing heroes tell you, because I think I might even have a clip here. Hold on. Let me see if I can play this for you.
So, I'm sitting here now thinking about Epping.
No, this is not the clip that I meant. There's a clip of Tommy Robinson somewhere saying, open your borders to Sikhs and Hindus. And there's this big wave of kind of neocons saying this. Sikhs and Hindus are okay. It's just Muslims that aren't okay. You know, this couldn't be further from the truth. And actually, people are starting to wake up to this, because Canada has a huge problem, and America. Look at those monstrosities with those massive Hindu statues that we see in Canada and America. Massive problem. This is not some small fry issue. These are like the world's tallest statues dedicated to a demon. Unbelievable. So I see this narrative being pushed that it's just the Muslims. And I know that I've said to you so far that the people on my account that are complaining and saying, oh, you know, this is silly and they don't get it are Muslims. But there's also the Sikhs and the Hindus that are inherently object to Christian nationalism, because Britain is a Christian nation. Our flags are made up of Christian crosses. And I'm not saying this in jest. I absolutely mean this. Our flags are made up of Christian crosses, the crosses of various Christian saints. And for some reason, they spark such fury and hatred from people who claim to be reasonable, claim to be British, and aren't Christian. Now, the Bible's clear on this, isn't it? Jesus himself told us we are either for him or against him. You know, God has made it very clear. God has made his presence, his existence clear to everyone, every living being. We have an inherent knowledge of God, of our Creator. Many people choose to reject and hate him and turn away from him. And anyone who's seeking him will not be turned away. We know that. We absolutely know that. There are some people that pretend that they're kind of indifferent. You know, we don't mind. We just want religious freedom. We just want to be able to practice our own religion.
You're
and
right,
there are
Mark.
people that say about the United States.
They do hate each other. I kind of really think that they want to get rid of Christians, every one of them, other than other Christians. I mean, there's different Protestant, Catholics, that kind of stuff among Christians. But the whole group they'd like to take out, and they'd each like to run the world.
The United States must always uphold religious freedom. Why?
And we're the ones that aren't having the birth rates because we have all the abortion and the transing and all that kind of stuff. Not amongst other people.
I don't believe that is what the founding fathers meant when they drafted the Constitution, that we must, the citizens of the United States of America must uphold the rights of Sikhs and Hindus and Muslims and Jews to erect synagogues and temples and mosques and statues and idols all over our Christian land that we built from scratch after having to kill a lot of the indigenous folk because they were, cannibals. They were bad eggs. Admittedly.
I don't know about the cannibal part.
I don't believe that that's what they had in mind. I don't believe that they wanted some utopia, some Tower of Babel situation where another example in the Bible where mass immigration, multiculturalism, globalism is expressly prohibited, is expressly stopped by the Lord, right? When the people all came together to build the Tower of Babel, to try and reach the heavens and build this multicultural and utopia. And they were scattered throughout the earth and their tongues were separated. Different languages couldn't understand each other. They could all understand each other. They couldn't then. The Lord scattered them. I don't believe that these things are coincidental. I don't believe that the Lord made a mistake there. Accidentally just happened to scatter people into different parts of the world and give them different languages and different tongues. I don't believe that. I don't believe it for 1 minute. And, because I'm a Christian and I know my Bible, and my Bible states that God's people are his people. And anybody who isn't, doesn't matter even if they're a cultural Christian. I had a cultural Christian on my Twitter earlier, right?
I'm not sure what she means by cultural Christian exactly. Maybe someone in chat can explain that one to me.
And this is pretty ridiculous, actually. Maybe I might even show you
what the difference is.
Let's add this back to the stage. I'll see if I can find this for you. This silly guy. So this guy is a cultural Christian, apparently. I think he's probably an Indian, if I'm honest. I think he's probably an Indian. So I posted up, you'll see here, I posted up this morning, Good Morning, Christ is King. This is one of these neocon, Tommy Robinson fans, calls himself a cultural Christian. This is what these people come out with. Christ was a Jew, and so were his 12 disciples, and so were his mother and 2 fathers, Joseph and God. How do you process that in your Nazi-like brain? Must make you quite uncomfortable, yes? Oh, these people. Listen, Zionists are not serious people. Sorry if that offends anyone, but they're just not. They're not serious people, right? And so I don't even know why I bothered, but I did respond to him, actually. I said, first of all, God isn't a Jew. Christian. He's the creator of the universe. Oh, okay. He didn't descend from the people of Judea, which is what Jewish, that's where that whole title Jewish comes from. Jew comes from the people of Judea.
The difference between a regular Christian and a cultural Christian. What's the difference, Mark? I don't understand it.
And secondly, the Jews of the Bible are not the same people as Talmudic Jews today who say that Jesus is boiling in a vat of excrement. Try reading the Bible before posting nonsense. And then I said, I wish these people, these cultural Christians would just read the Bible. And I do. And I get it. I mean, they haven't read the Bible. They don't understand what they're talking about. They're just pushing a political agenda. But this is the problem with cultural Christianity. Now, look, I do believe that in our quest to establish and restore Christendom as a Christian nationalist, I do believe that cultural Christianity is favorable over just like abject liberalism. Of course, I believe that. I do. And so, I'm not knocking people that are cultural Christians, but being lectured by people that don't know the Bible, that it can be quite infuriating and quite exhausting. And it's very telling, if nothing else, because these people actually, they kind of imply that they don't realize they're the enemy of the Lord. But the Bible tells us differently, that these people know And I watched a great sermon from R.C. Sproul, who's, in my opinion, hands down best theologian of our time, who said, God told us these people know. They know they hate him. They know they despise him. This isn't some old, it's wishy-washy. But they try and play middle ground. There are certain things that trigger the enemies of the Lord. Certain things. And let me show you. So I mentioned our flag is made up of Christian crosses, right? And we have, of course, the Union flag, cross of St. Andrew, St. Patrick, and St. George. And this is a little clip here by a female commentator. I don't even know why this woman's given a platform in the UK. She shouldn't be here. She should be sent home. She reckons that she's British because she's lived here. I don't care. You're not British. You're not of European stock. You don't have any place here. And clearly she hates us. Clearly she hates us. Of course, she's the media's dream, isn't she? I guess you guys have got like The View or whatever it is, where all these horrible cackling women all sit about and talk about how much they hate America. It's the same thing with this woman. She gets invited on all these shows.
They certainly do hate
to
America.
just express how much she hates all things British. Look at
I'm
her
glad
reaction
to see that's probably going
to the flag of England, which is made up of a Christian cross, the cross of St. George. Watch this.
And actually, I do worry for the coronation.
In no sense is that a symbol of
you know what that is?
nationalism or
That's
racism.
just kind of ignorance to me, because you're waving it around, and I feel it's
Don't start with me.
to people.
Listen, look, I'm proud to be English. I'll come in here to say that. Yeah, there's a million things. Like, I don't think that just because of a few wrong uns that are far right.
It's not few wrong uns. It's a lot.
Listen, the majority of people, should be able to be proud of where they come from. Like,
They should.
We ain't letting them take.
I don't think you should encourage nationalism.
We are.
You should
We are
encourage.
proud.
We've had Brexit, Windrush. There's a lot that actually the younger generations.
Okay, so what? Because you say, as a woman of colour, you don't feel that this flag represents you, or that there
it's
are
not
things...
inclusive.
Yeah. So what is your proposition? What would make you feel proud to be British?
I think all the moderate voices, like Ed said he did do, we need to become louder and actually celebrate. St. George actually is a representation of multiculturalism, and he's a representation of tolerance.
Born in Turkey.
We should be more of a tolerant country. We are not that these days.
So how the hell is she being tolerant against that flag?
You're not showing tolerance. The far right,
She's
and
not
then the
being
far right, people are
tolerant.
so much against asylum seekers,
she's the one
refugees. They're
being
taking
racist.
this, they're taking that. But let's celebrate.
But if you give the flag and patriotism and St. George's Day to the far right and say we're not going to touch it because that's something we're not proud of, that is a catastrophe for our country, and we have to own it together.
It's outdated.
We could be proud of
outdated.
it.
We need a new flag.
hate it.
Let's get a new flag, because that one is outdated and it represents far too much negativity in this country. I think we need a new day.
What?
That's coming about the American flag, I guarantee you.
Did anyone celebrate St. George's Day? I mean, the turnout
did.
in Trafalgar
In
Square.
Morley, there was the big parade of school
The turnout in
Dorinda,
Trafalgar
will
Square.
you celebrate the coronation?
Actually, no, because I think the monarchy, no, I'm sorry. I think the monarchy represents...
Have they gone as well?
Represents colonisation. They need to give back all their stolen jewels.
Lorinda,
I will not be celebrating.
Okay.
I feel sad. I do want King Charles to do the right thing. I feel he can
National
do
Health
the right
Service?
thing. I think, yes, I would celebrate that, of course.
Good.
But I think King Charles, who wants to be defender of all faith, I have faith that he may do what his mother
Our
didn't
armed
do.
forces?
Okay.
Yes, very proud. Of course.
The Royal National
There's lots
Lifeboat
of things
Institute?
I am proud to be
Fish and
proud to be
chips?
British. I love
Remembrance
fish and
Sunday?
chips. I am dying.
Last night of the proms?
That's
No.
Oh, come on! Come on!
Dorinda, thanks very much indeed, Thomas. Thank you very much.
Far right, far right, far right. Everything's far right. St. George's Day, all the far right are hijacking St. George's Day and they're hijacking the flag. Isn't it awful? No, these are just English people, British people. Why have we got people like that in our country? Furthermore, why do we have people like that in our country and platform them on daytime TV? I don't watch daytime TV, obviously, because I have a life. But this woman, that is a very prominent daytime TV slot that she has there. And she's sitting there. I don't know, she's Indian, I think. She's Sikh as well. So let's just dispel this myth that, Sikhs and Hindus are peaceful and we should open up, like Tommy Robinson, we should open our borders to Sikhs and Hindus. She's a Sikh. She is a Sikh.
I don't even know
And
what a Sikh
it's
really
clear
is myself.
she's anti-Christian. That flag, look at her. All he was doing. I'll show you just the beginning bit again. Just watch this tiny first couple of seconds. Watch this.
And actually, I do worry for the
In
coronation.
no sense is that a symbol of
See, that, you know what that is?
nationalism or
That's just
racism.
kind of ignorance to me, because you're waving it around, and I feel it's
Don't start with me.
to people.
Listen, look, I'm.
Look at her face. You're waving it around. It's a flag, love. That's what you're meant to do with flags. Wave them
Christian
around.
flag.
How
Christian.
on earth can a flag be offensive to this woman? Because I tell you why. It's because it's got a Christian cross on it. I'm telling you, that's who these people are. These people. That's who these people are. And she's on national television telling us, "Let's get a new flag. Go home. Go home. Take your foreign religion. Go back to your rundown country, your corrupt country. We've all left now. We've all left. There's no point saying, oh, you colonize our country and that's why we came here. We're not there anymore. Go home, have your own flag. Go and tell your own government, go and tell your own people not to wave their flag and to get a new flag. Absolutely ridiculous.
I was hoping
exactly.
Colin
Deb
would
says
be
if she's
on
not happy to head back to the Punjab. No one would miss her.
Colin and
No one
Titan.
would miss her. Absolutely insane. But this is the mentality of these people. Honestly, the mentality of these people, brazen enough. And it's because our country has become weak. And this goes for the UK, not so much the US, but the US, we're all headed this way. Unless we have some revolution, it needs to be Christian based. It needs to be Christian nationalism. This is no good. This placid, rise. Even the conservative, I don't mean the neocons, but I mean genuine conservative outlook, which a lot of us have had for years, and it's been our downfall, where we say, we're not going to stoop as low as the left. The left are out there behaving like animals. Black Lives Matter out there behaving like animals. Now, listen, I'm not suggesting that we should start burning down shops in our local towns. These people are burning their own people's shops down. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying that we should start doing that and hanging off a lamppost and all the mad stuff that they're doing. I'm not saying that we should start doing that. But these people, for a long time, they've mobilized and they've made noise about issues that they don't like. Now, it just so happens that all the issues they don't like are normal. They are conservative, they are traditional, they are right wing, but he who screams the loudest, basically, they've kicked up so much fuss that we've now got public schools teaching children about sodomy. We've now got public schools teaching children about transsexualism and pansexuality and whatever all this nonsense means. I saw something the other day that said something about grey sexual. I don't even know what that means. All of this lunacy of the day. And it's because we were too soft in allowing it. A lot of the time, the Conservatives, our downfall has been, we're not going to stoop to their level. We're just going to get on with our lives. We're going to just get on with our lives. And, we're not going to stoop. They're crazy. Let them get on with it. Actually, no. We needed to destroy them. That's what we needed to do. We needed to destroy them. We needed to destroy their ideology. It's like the show that I did last week, and I showed you that footage from Joel Webben, the pastor in the US.
Hey, Amy.
And he was saying that, women aren't the enemy.
Hey, Amy.
That men of the West basically need to recognize that women are just submitting to the authority that is the most prevalent, which is liberalism. Women actually, by nature, we do submit. We have a rebellious nature, but we will submit. It's the order of creation. It's how God created us. We just need to know what to submit to. Women are submitting to a demonic, satanic, evil agenda, which is promoting feminism, abortion, multiculturalism, homosexuality, everything you can imagine that's there to just destroy humanity. And actually, what we need is for the men of the West to say enough and to do away with that. And the way we do that is obviously multifaceted. It's not going to happen overnight, but it starts with attacking the education systems. If you have to, pull your kids out. It starts with holding our right-wing leaders accountable. I did a show on this again a few weeks ago, and I was saying to you that we must hold our guys to account, because if we just say, oh no, we can't say anything bad about them because they're our guy, then they're never going to submit to the will of the people. We are the people that elected them. So we need a pushback, and that push needs to be, no, anything that's not Christian, anything that's not Christian nationalist, conservative, traditional in its values, we will fight against it. The left have been fighting against tradition for a long time, and look where we're at. So all we need is a bit of resistance. We need a bit of pushback. And, the Tempers are no strangers to this. We've been doing this for nearly 1,000 years. So, traditional values aren't something new to us, but it's really important that we grow and our movement grows. And it's important as well that you let people know about your involvement in the Templars and get involved in the Templars, get involved in the Christian Nationalist Party. We got events coming up. We had a knighting ceremony earlier this year. We've got, the March for Life coming up in London for those of you that are going to that. We have to actually start taking action to restore normality. It is not going to restore itself. It's not going to be restored by some savior other than the Lord Jesus Christ when he comes. But it's not going to be some human savior. People were hoping that Donald Trump was going to reset everything and it would all be okay. There's been some fantastic developments since he's been in power, certainly, but he's one man. He's not capable of restoring absolutely everything. And he certainly isn't going to do it if everybody says any bad decisions he makes we can't object to because he's our guy. No, because he's our guy, if he's your guy, might not be, but if he's your guy, the most loving thing you can do is guide him in a direction that is good for the nation. And the last thing I want to end with is just a tiny little snippet that I saw earlier today. And I'm not even going to elaborate on this. It's really important, even if you don't like Trump. I know there are people in the chat that don't like Trump. That's fine. I'm not sitting here cheerleading, saying that you have to. I certainly don't like Keir Starmer, who is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Does that mean I'm not British? No. Obviously. I didn't vote for him. I don't think he should be in power, but we have democracy. I don't even really support democracy, to be fair, but we have democracy in the UK, and the democratic system elected him. Now, obviously, Donald Trump was hugely popular, and in my opinion, was the better choice between him and Kamala. I mean, can you imagine under Kamala? It would be as bad as it is with the Labour government here in the UK. But anyway, that aside, one thing that we are told is that we're told in the Bible that the leaders, and this is difficult for people to understand, the leaders of our respective nations, world leaders, are appointed by God. Now, you might think there's no way that God would appoint Keir Starmer. There's no way. Well, what do we deserve in the United Kingdom? Our apostate nation where we've aborted 15 million babies. 1 in 3 pregnancies now ends in abortion, murdering children in the womb. What do we deserve? Some right-wing hero, some Viktor Orban type, the Hungarian PM who's trying to push up the birth rate. Do we deserve that? Or do we deserve God's judgment? We deserve fire and brimstone is what we deserve. And so it's difficult for people to grasp that because, our leaders, and all of our leaders are men.
You're right, Mark.
None of them are infallible. They're all men. They're all sinners. They're all just doing what they
I think part of our education system is to dumb us down. It's intentionally done that.
Can. But it's very important that even the ones we dislike, this is always difficult, even the ones we dislike, it's important that we pray
Welcome to Wimpkin, Amy.
for them.
I see you're new here.
It really is, because some of the evil that we are seeing in the world from world leaders is shocking, but it actually pales in significance when you think about how broken and far away from God the world has turned. Now, America, I honestly...
Yeah, he's totally a globalist there. Starmer, however you say his name.
believe that God gifted that land to our people. They were of European stock and Christian nationalists. And I don't think that God has lifted his hand. And I think there is a future for America. And I honestly do believe that with the influx of immigrants coming into the United Kingdom and in Europe, that America is gearing up to say, white Europeans that want to flee from this, come to us. We saw a glimpse of it under Trump saying the same thing to the Boers, to the white South Africans. I think that that's probably where we're headed. I think that America will end up being balkanized like the United Kingdom. I think America will be split. I believe all of that. We'll see. Only time will tell. But what we must do, as well as holding our leaders to account, is we must pray for them. It really has to do with culture. And I saw this little bit of footage earlier, and I thought I have to share it with you because it's really important, actually, that we understand the mindset of our leaders. Donald Trump, as I've said before, I believe to be a cultural Christian. I'll play you this little bit of footage. Here we go.
Just want to end it. I want to end it. You know, we're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Some people, as missiles hit wrong spots or get lobbed into cities like Kiev and towns. But, you know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed.
All war is really about money laundering.
I think that's a pretty. I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. Well, I think I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. The planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go. And I did that through trade.
Now listen, I'm just going to finish up on this. I think that statement was probably well intended. I think he had the best intentions at heart. I think that Donald Trump is a cultural Christian. I don't believe, especially from that statement and other things that I've heard from him, that he knows the Lord. Salvation comes through faith alone, in Christ alone. We are saved by grace through faith in Christ. And, you know, if he manages to resolve this issue between Russia and Ukraine, which is seeing hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian men slaughtered, a country that will never recover, this will be a great thing. I mean, we want this over, but it won't ensure his place in heaven. When I hear things like that,
Ukraine has an installed globalist in power of them. That's what their issue is.
I think that actually maybe Donald Trump is seeking. Maybe he is. Maybe he's very preoccupied. Maybe he hasn't got a lot of decent Christian counsel. We know he's got that crazy woman, that Paula White, is it, in the White House, or Paula? I don't know. Anyway, I just think we need to keep this man in our prayers, because whether you agree with him or not, whether you like him or not, and there's a lot of things that he's said and done that I don't agree with, I'm going to be honest, but there's a lot of stuff that he has, really good stuff. Incredible, actually. I mean, you know, I look at it and I think, wow, wish we had that in the UK. So I know that there will be people on all different sides, but whether we like these people or not, or whether we are their biggest fans, we should pray for them. Because prayer is a powerful thing, and we shouldn't underestimate that. We spend a lot of time on social media. We spend a lot of time on Purge TV. We spend a lot of time talking to each other about politics. Do we spend enough time in prayer and contemplation of the state of our nation, why it's in that state, and praying for our leaders to have the discernment, the God-driven, the Holy Spirit-fueled discernment to do what's best for us? And also for us as a people to try and guide the people that we've elected in the right direction. This is something that I feel very strongly about. And, you know, we're told to pray constantly. We're told to constantly pray. So we should be, and we should be praying for our leaders, even the ones we don't like. Listen, I sit in church and I pray for Keir Starmer and I pray for Benjamin Netanyahu. And, you know, these people, I've got really serious grievances with these men. But my goodness, what a difference what a different world this would be if those men came to Christ. What a different world. So I think Donald Trump may be on a journey. Keep him in your prayers. And I'll end it there. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. God bless you all. I think Nick Griffin is on the Christian Nationalist Party show tomorrow, so please do try and join in. And Mr. Dowson is back on the Templar Report, I think, on Thursday. I think he's going to talk about demographics, which should be very interesting, but we shall see. All right, everyone, try and tune in if you can, and enjoy the rest of the week. I am going to be back, God willing, on Friday on the Christian Nationalist Party show, so do try and join me then. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all later in the week. There's Volt.
The threat is real.
All right, I'm going to play the next one about the church ministry defends the Scottish princess warrior. You know, the one who with the hatchet and the knife was defending her sister from being raped. I think she's 14, and the girl was. He talks about this, but he's got a heavy British accent, just so you know. It's a short clip, but you'll get the point of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you might have seen the news coming out of Scotland. The wee girl, the warrior princess, they're calling her. The patriot princess, a wee girl, 14-year-old, who's defending her sister who's been molested by some immigrant. And people say... What?
There was a couple that were going to rape her sister. and she had a hatchet and a knife. And that's illegal there in that country. You know, after they take away the guns, they start taking away the knives and the hatchets and everything like that to defend yourself. Although all the criminals still have them. So anyway, so that this 14-year-old defended her 11-year-old sister. I think her sister was 11.
Shocking scenes, a young slip of a girl with a hatchet in one hand and a knife in the other, telling this immigrant, don't touch her. She's only 12. She was defending her sister, but everybody's got their minds over it. And people are saying to me, will you condemn this, Reverend? No, I certainly will not. I will condemn the police. I will condemn the local government. I will condemn the government in Westminster for flooding our areas with undocumented single males who are raping and stealing and murdering all across this land. Not all of them. I'm sure there's some good people. But the abuse that our people have had to suffer, is any wonder that young people now, young girls, have to fend for themselves? And I'll tell you what's disgraceful, apart from the government and the police doing nothing. What's disgraceful is the men of this country, the men of Britain, sitting idly by and doing nothing while their young women are being molested and raped. No wonder this young warrior princess had to take matters into her own hand. No wonder this young girl, terrified and frightened that her younger sister, who was only 12, maybe molested or raped or murdered. So she took a hatchet and she took a knife and she chased off the offender. And people tell me, will you condemn it? No, I will not. And I'll tell you another thing. Any fine that young girl gets, I'll pay it. And when she gets out of prison because she's been grabbed, the immigrant perpetrator, oh no.
The left says that she shouldn't have fought to save her sister. Unbelievable, you know, because it's violent.
No problem with him. But she has been charged by the police. Well, I'll tell you, whatever happens to her, I'll pay her fine if she goes to jail. She goes out of jail, she's got a job here. It's okay supporting people and putting the names on. I think it's wonderful. But we have to be there to support these people. But let me tell you, men of Britain, if there was ever a clear example of a poster girl for the coming revolution, the fight back, the defence, not the attack, the defence of our people, it is that warrior princess from Dundee in Scotland. She represents all of us, Scottish, English, Irish and Wales. She is one of our blood, she's one of our young females of our clan, of our tribe, of our people. And we must take heed, men of Britain. Our young girls should not be in the streets like that. Of course they shouldn't. My goodness, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. They shouldn't be on the streets. But we men should be on the streets so our girls don't have to. Men, stand up. We now have a poster, just like the left have a Che Guevara. We now have a poster far better. The warrior princess of Albion, of Great Britain.
How come the one that filmed it also wasn't trying to help her keep her sister from being raped and molested?
Great Britain, a wee Scottish girl, part of the tribe. Oh, may God bless her, may God guide her, and may God keep his hand upon her. Amen.
Amen.
It's time to join.
Amen. I got another clip here dealing with this.
In some parts of England, you're being told you can't fly your own country's flag. Yep, the Union Jack, the national flag of the United Kingdom, has been banned, taken down, or discouraged by councils, schools, and even TV broadcasters. Why? Because it might be seen as offensive or political. Pub owners have been forced to remove flags, kids told not to bring them to school during football tournaments, and even the BBC was mocked internally for showing it on air. Meanwhile, flags from every other cause are flying freely. But our own national identity? Too controversial. What happened to being proud to be
called
British?
Racist.
It's our flag, our country. And if you can't fly it in England, where can you?
They're calling it racist, their national flag. That's coming to America. They're already saying that.
Griffin, and wherever you are very welcome, and thank you for joining me. Especially those who join us later on. So you're not live. Do please try and get in from time to time live and get involved in the chat. But whoever you are, wherever you are, please hit the likes and subscribes. It all helps the algorithms. Also, I am told. Frankly, I'm a
Let me rape or otherwise. They believe that they can rape non-Muslims. That's okay in their religion.
No, crazy. I know very little about these things, but I do know a fair bit about what's going to happen in Britain over the next few years, because I've been telling you for a long, long time, and many other people are now joining in. And I want to concentrate on the show tonight about that. Let's have a quick look, first of all, in the chats, where among the early arrivals are Westover 1314, even Ivan Cooper, Greg G. Countryside's looking well decorated. It is indeed. More on that later. Lady Matriarch is with us, as is Dylan Jennings and Brian Siddock. Hello there. Right, I'll bounce back in there in a bit and see who else has joined us. But first of all, better get down to business, haven't we? And what have I got for business for you today? Where do I start? Yes, I was away up in Galloway and Dumfries, which is the southwestern side of Scotland. Very neglected, actually, for tourism and all sorts of things. Absolutely beautiful area. It really is well worth visiting, even if you've got to come from a long way to do it. But anyway, on the way back from this gorgeous part of our green and still pleasant land, at least in some places, I happened to see on the motorway, I was driving at the time, my wife wasn't, and I said, get a picture of that, as we came up behind this lorry. So there you go. Now, if you're looking on a large screen, you'll see that well. If on a little mobile phone, perhaps you won't. But this is the full back of a UK registered lorry with a Knights Templar and a Knights Templar charge, and Templars European. So I thought I would show this to my Templar friends, who I know come here and watch the Christian National Party shows. I thought you'd like to see that. And as we went past it, the curtain side of the lorry is even better. Have a look at this. So, Templar European, there's the Templar cross, and it's a rather Valkyrie-like figure with a Polish flag. And you can see from the wings there that while most of the charging knights are from the Templar era, there's also the wing knights, which of course is a reference to Jan Sobieski and the Battle of Vienna against the Turks centuries after the Templars were
they're trying to end Christianity.
Suppressed. And there we go.
Trying to end it.
Tremendous lorry trundling down the M6. I thought it was really rather good. What do you think? Right, let's get ready for the next thing, because I now want to get rather more serious for you and talk about stuff which directly relates to all Christian nationalists. So let me just dive back in the chat. Yes, indeed. The Marty's joined us, doesn't want the IRA burning those flags. Lady Matriarch likes what was on the side of the lorry, as did I. Quite amazing, as whoever of our moderators is in today says. Yeah, and they got, even as we went past, they got a hoot of sympathy from someone or other, and I gave them the same. So, yeah, quite an amazing thing. I guess perhaps it's a Polish-related logistics company. I just don't know, but say it was a British registered lorry, so really quite something. I'm not sure that I'd want to drive that thing through Bradford.
Oh, he's got a few more, John, you'll like.
Who knows? Right then. So, what I want to talk to you about.
You'll see a lot of the British are starting to paint their trucks a lot better.
Well, I go straight in to the headline of the week, which is this one. Now, quite often I have ones which sum up the craziness of the country or something truly awful. This one is not particularly surprising piece. There's many more like this going on at present, but I made it headline of the week because I think that historically, when the history of these increasingly febrile times comes to be written, this could be a headline, this will be a headline, or this will be a story which will feature in the how on earth did it come to pass and what were the signs. And here we have an exclusive from the Daily Mail the other day. Labour-run council ordering removal of St George's and Union Jack flags is too scared to take down Palestinian flags without police protection, leaked email reveals, which of course immediately told lots of Brits, the people putting up the St George and Union Jack flags, actually what they need to do to make sure they stay up. So it's all part of the radicalisation process. In any case, that's the headline of the week, and what's it all about. Well, I think actually Jada and Jim have both talked about this, so I'm going to develop this evening on what they've already said. So just as a reminder, it's a them and us situation. Here's them. These are the flags that get left up in various parts of the country, Palestinian flags in support of Gaza. Now, I am 110% supporter of the rights of the Gaza people to resist their oppression and their genocide. I think that what the Starmer regime, with the full backing of the entire British establishment, including Reform and Co, and certainly the Tories, is doing in terms of still arming the genocidal state of Israel is absolutely disgusting. But
actually, they're arming both sides. I say pull all the money out and there'll be peace within months.
I still don't make no bones about it, seeing flags like that in parts of my capital city, in Birmingham, the city's.
The Hamas leaders made, what, $5 billion last year.
Second city of Britain and so on. It's a flag of occupation, just as in those areas you can smell the occupation. The stench of curry is the stench of occupation. Now, I like curry. I make very good curries, and I enjoy other people's curries. And just as I say, I support the rights of those people to fly those flags in those areas. It doesn't say that I'm comfortable about those flags flying in those areas. But if they're going to be allowed to fly, then it's essential that this is also allowed. This is the other side of Birmingham, where huge numbers, as part of the Fly the Flags operation that's going on, huge numbers of Union Jacks and St George Cross flags are going up as the Ulsterisation of England continues or really gets rolling at a very rapid pace. Now, it's the council taking down these flags. Don't forget that.
Wish I'd seen
it's the
some.
Council not taking down
I live in
these
upstate
flags.
New York.
It's people with passionate and legitimately held views putting up these flags and these flags. So whose fault is it that these flags stay up and these flags are taken down? And it is not the fault of the people who put up these flags. In fact, there have been a number of quotes, even in the Mail, which is a war-baiting rag, as you know, reporting on Muslims in inner city Birmingham, saying, well, look, if we can put up these flags and we insist on our right to do so, then it's entirely right that people in more English areas are free to put up their flags and they stay up as well. Because a lot of these people, the Muslims, they understand that if the precedent is set that these flags come down, then their flags can as well. Or if these flags come down, then it'll make people very angry against them, when in fact people should be angry against the Labour councils, against the Labour government, and against, for that matter,
your country flag should always be flown the highest.
These flags. It's not the fault of the Muslims. This is the fault of the elite. And more on the way in which the elite are really winding us up to hate each other in a minute. But before I get on to that, I wanted to show you a very clever response to something, because another thing which has cropped up during this very rapid Ulsterisation period, if you think this is exciting and dramatic, you ain't seen nothing yet. This is, I can say, the painless bit. We've got far more pain to come. But then something else that's cropped up is, you'll be familiar, certainly if you're British, perhaps not if you're American, I have to tell you that in many English towns and cities, we have small white roundabouts, just low things you can actually drive over on the roads, particularly it's not on major roads, it's more on the roads in housing estates and so on. Just these plain, white, round roundabouts. What are they, people? 8 foot wide, something like that? Some of them even smaller. Just go into the traffic a bit, slows the traffic down a bit. See, I'm doing it that way because we drive on the correct side of the road in this country, unlike you poor benighted colonialists. Anyway, some bright spark came up with the idea that if you take a white circle and you paint a red cross on it, you instantly make it the St George's roundabout. Really quite something. And the Liberals are up in arms about this.
Because it's Christian.
Birmingham Council and others, Labour Council, say, oh, we've got to destroy it, we've got to remove this. Even reform councils, which have said, there's quite a lot of them now in huge swathes of the English counties, reform-run councils are saying, our flags are staying up. The Union Jack flags and the St. George Cross flags are staying up. Well, good for them. But they're also saying that the flags painted on the roundabouts, we're going to take those off. Now, why? Because I know many, many towns and cities with liberal and leftist local government in this country.
Everyone. I know some new people came in.
Pedestrian crossings have been turned into gay flags. You may have seen some years back, very funny video of two police horses coming up to one of these things and going, ah, but they refuse to cross this very unfamiliar and very creepy flag on the road. So how come is it that huge gay flags can be painted at taxpayers' expense on the roads, and that's fine, but if a group of taxpayers go out and paint our national flag, I'm talking English here, on a roundabout in a way that does no harm whatsoever, that's something that even reform councils are saying, we're going to have to remove that. Well, the simple answer to that, my English friends, is every one they remove, paint another half a dozen. Wear masks as you do so. And on your way there and on your way back, wear the same clothing as your friends when you go to do so, and have lookouts and reduce the chances of getting caught. And if you are caught, as always, say nothing. But actually, I don't need to tell you this because everyone's already got it. It's already happening all over. But anyway, another thing that happened in response to this, very clever. Now, how switched on.
Over in Britain, they're arresting 30 people a day for stuff they post or say. Believe it or not, their freedom of speech is gone.
People are getting that the pothole on the left, this is actually genuine. I think some of them are perhaps the pictures of the rubbish bags on the right. My guess is that is an artificially generated image. But people in various places, now the councils have said, we will not allow George crosses on our roads. People plagued by potholes, as many of us are, have started painting George crosses on the potholes, safe in the knowledge that the council will rapidly come and fill them in and repair the potholes. How clever is that? So I think the George Cross rubbish bags on the right are a bit of wishful thinking, but if someone wants to print them and make them, yeah, it's going to guarantee that Labour councils will pick up the rubbish as soon as possible. And that's smart. I think it's remarkable developments and happening really so quickly. Let's come in and see what you're saying. Paul Telford has joined us, as has John Kopasaki and Roger Madison. John Ventry, hello John, good to see you, sir. Troy from Florida is here. And yeah, various people like those things. So more of this, because it's just rolling on. As I say, there's a lot more to come. The Ulsterization of England going on before your very eyes. So I've got another one of those. Let me have a look. No, this is all I've got. The next thing. It's just starting, and it'll start very quickly. Once you get a take to the idea of painting the roads, it's very, very quick.
Now, what's going to happen to people if they wear that on as part of their shirt? Are they going to start making them remove their shirts?
Jump to go to painting the curbstones, and this is a typical set of curbstones in a part of Loyalist Northern Ireland. Now, I am not showing these things from a sectarian point of view or in any way to disrespect Catholics, whether in Northern Ireland or in England or whatever, because those old divisions are pernicious, useless and terribly counterproductive when we got far bigger problems on. So to prove that, and without suddenly going all rank Fenian on you, here's curbstones from the other side. So this one is in Belfast, this one's in Limavady, but it could equally be in Derry, Londonderry, for instance. So this is in Republican areas as a way of designating that they're theirs and not ours. There's green, white and gold, or green, white and orange, the tricolour colours, the Irish tricolour colours being painted on the curbs. So you know you're in a Catholic nationalist area if your curbs look like that. And if you cross a street and perhaps go through a peace line, then all of a sudden you know if you're a Brit, you're in home territory because they're red, white and blue. And I think it's a very, very short space of time now before we see this taking off on the mainland as well. I saw a comment, by the way, on Jada Show, I think it was, one of our Americans, was it Ken Wood, asking, please, what's the mainland? Yeah, indeed. Anyone living in Britain, especially anyone living in Northern Ireland, know that the mainland refers to mainland Britain, and that the islands off it, whether the Isle of Skye or Anglesey or the Isles of Scilly, and especially Northern Ireland, they're not on the mainland. So the mainland is not the UK, because it's the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So the mainland is the main one single landmass of Great Britain. And all of Great Britain's in the UK, but the UK is rather bigger. So that's where the mainland thing goes, that we all talk about, just naturally assuming that all you poor benighted foreigners immediately understand it. Of course you don't. Well, you do now. Aren't I a kind and decent human being to take my time to tell you that? Right. Now, these curbstones are repeatedly painting them that colour. To repeat, and of course, if you're English, you could, for instance, do it just red and white. If you're Welsh, you want to designate your area as being indigenous, then paint it the colours of the modern Welsh flag, red, white and green. If you're Scottish, paint them white and blue, by all means. And in any case, it'll be described as a hate crime. Very often these are described as sectarian, which as a matter of fact they are, as in many ways are those, when in Northern Ireland. But if they're done in Corby, or in Corby, or in Kirby in Liverpool actually, or in chunks of London or whatever, it's not sectarian, but it will probably be called a hate crime. Bit strange, isn't it? That's a hate crime. That's sectarian. That's celebrating pride. This is in Belfast, incidentally. That's absolutely all right. So it's okay when they do it, but we do it. All sorts of people object. Well, that's further reason to get on and do it. Let me have a look in here. Greigtree, Lothing Land, is Britain's long-forgotten hidden island you might be aware of, Nick, in Suffolk. Yes, indeed, in North Suffolk, I am. Roger Madison, mainland would seem to refer to Spain, France, Germany as Great Britain as an island. No, Roger, it's not. That's Europe. And Europe is a very large island off the coast of Britain. There used to be a joke, I think it's probably based in fact, many, many years ago. There was a headline in a newspaper, perhaps even then, tongue-in-cheek. Fog in Channel, that's the English Channel, continent cut off. So, yes, there we go. So now Roger was another one of the Americans who wasn't quite sure. Lady Matriarch says it's paint crime. Very good indeed. And Ivan has just shared the Raise the Colours campaign on X. Yeah, please, everybody, do so. I would if I was on X, but as you know, I am not. No, all sorts of ne'er-do-wells. Ivan isn't one of them. All sorts of ne'er-do-wells and troublemakers are allowed on X, but not yours truly. As Marty says here, that one is in West or South Belfast, or just possibly in the Short Strand. But that's a different story. Right then. Yeah, indeed, it was done in the Silver Jubilee, so all the more reason to carry it on now. Rather than ask, don't need to ask their permission, just get out.
72, huh?
You know what they say, so just do it. Right then, let me carry on. Those are examples of how to go the right way about responding to the tension.
I've been live for an hour and 24 minutes. You missed a lot. Go back and watch. I did this whole show about what's going on over in Europe, or over in England, Britain.
Some problems in Britain and building a...
Colin, I thought you and Titan were going to come on, what was it, Tuesday? Didn't see you. Either one of you.
A sense of unity amongst our people, which is the prerequisite for achieving anything. And a sense of siege as well. We are collectively under siege. People under siege need to react, and this is the sort of way that they can do it. Far better that they react by painting curbstones than throwing bricks through the windows of perfectly innocent immigrant neighbours. Curbstones, much, much better in every way, shape and form. So that's examples of the way to do it. Here's an example, I'm going to bring you now, of the way not to do it. Now, I'd like to show you this actually clip of the Tommy boy there speaking just, I think today actually, on a post on X, where he's advising people what to do, urging them to come along to the great big protest rally that they are having in London. Now, I can't show you the video, even though it's only a little clip, because since I am not a premium subscriber to X, because I'm damned if I'm going to pay to subscribe to X when they won't give me a voice, despite saying they believe in free speech. So I can't play you the video, but I can.
I'm on X, but I can't go live there.
You tell you what he says. Whereas Tommy's saying we're going to have this huge demonstration. We want 100,000 people there. And actually, I think they might get that in current feelings. It certainly will be enormous. And whatever you do, I've had a long meeting with the police and it's all going to be fine. It's all got to be peaceful, yes. And we're not people who wear masks. So don't cover your faces. You know, face wearing masks, that's what Antifa do. It's what the communists do. It's what the violent people do. Now, what you're supposed, it's a very clever script, this. Tommy didn't think of this. He's working to a script. He's learnt a script. This has been written by people who understand that if you tell people that something is done by people they detest, you know, the immigrants, the violent ones, the communists, Antifa, well, I'm not an immigrant, I'm not Antifa, so I mustn't do it. So Tommy is telling people you must not wear masks. Why? Because his police handlers, and he's got all sorts of handlers as a Tommy boy, but police are one of them. He tries to straddle and ride several horses at the same time. His cops are saying, make sure your people don't wear masks, Tommy. Why? Because they will film every single person on that demonstration. Now, if they'd done that 20 years ago, assuming 100,000 people are there, that would have been basically useless to them. But in the days of AI and facial recognition, it's a treasure trove of intelligence, of who's walking with who stops and chats with who takes a leaflet from who. They'll know it all. They'll feed this into their super AI computers, and they'll get a wonderful picture of a very significant section of the most radicalized people on the British right, on the counter-jihad thing. And that's priceless to them, because if one of those people does something which is over the limits of what is now coming to be normal, such as painting flagstones, if one of them does something which is actually a serious illegal challenge to the state, they'll put his picture in and they'll say, who else was with that person? And they'll come up and they'll have 20 other people who they will then know is associated with someone who is now a serious militant. So then they'll look at them and they'll find the 20 people that know them. And out of that, some of them will be quite innocent, but they'll get a whole cells with the people who are actually seriously up to no good. Now, I'm not saying that people should be up to no good, but I am saying that when someone who's supposed to be batting for Britain sets things up so that the people who are really radically opposed to us being dispossessed in our own homeland, of our own homeland, that's a bad thing. Because the police aren't just, as you know, the police are not just here to stop people becoming terrorists. They're actually here to oppress us.
So they arrested that 14-year-old girl that was defending her sister from being raped, but not the rapist.
Such a way that it will, in due course, create terrorism. Because if people aren't allowed to have legitimate political and cultural and community expressions of their identity and their concerns, then violence is the only door that is left open.
I'd sent you, Colin, and Titan a link for you both to be a guest on the show, and I thought you were coming on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time.
So I'm not saying that people should wear masks and resist the police state that's being imposed on us because they're going to become terrorists, but precisely because remaining free.
So it wasn't to watch, it was to be a guest.
And remaining below the radar makes you more effective as a community activist, as a cultural activist, than if you're being banged up with the police, if you've lost your job, etc., etc. So when someone like this sets up the largest, or works with the police to set up the largest intelligence gathering spree in the history of the so-called right in Britain.
That's surprising because they've jailed him like 3 times.
No, if you didn't know already, that he is a bad and a very dangerous egg indeed. Right, we're doing okay for time, which is just as well because I've got a lot more
to come, although
not many pictures.
1:30 a.m.
points out entry to Europe by April 26 must provide biometric face capture and fingerprint. Yes, they are seriously clamping down with the police state because all over Europe they know that the liberal experiment has failed. They also know that their ability to keep on, this is true in America too.
So it would have been 11 p.m. your time.
Ability of the elite to keep on borrowing or printing money in the vast amounts needed to keep the lid on the fractious multicultural shambles that they've created, deindustrialized multicultural shambles. The ability to keep the lid on that is really only been about the fact they've been able to keep on bribing people, the millions that don't work, the millions that can't work, the millions that won't work, the millions for whom there is no work, especially as AI cuts a swathe through the jobs of the white-collar classes. They know that they can only keep the lid on this with massive repression and making sure that they can read all our faces, etc., etc.
They're doing 15-minute cities in England now.
Of it. RDBFP Charles Stuart Parnell used to do Tommy's trick of riding two horses. Absolutely so. Actually, to be fair, in a way, when you're in that sort of radical position, you rather have to. But you should try and ride, or one would hope they'd at least be riding the horse really on their side and trying to do a bit of foot juggling on the horse of the other side. Tommy is trying to ride horses, all of which want to trample us underfoot. And thereby is the problem. There's a link there, Christian Nationalist Party, Free Union flag, Operation Raise the Colours, UK only. Sorry about that, folks. If it's someone else's flag, if you're in someone else's country, get your own flags. But this is for our people. So do take advantage of that, and especially pass that link on all over the place to get other people to do the same. I've seen a really interesting thing again on the motorway, actually, coming home the other day and going up a few days before that on a number of motorway bridges now, there are Union flags just on the bridge over the motorway. What is it? One flag, 4 cable ties, 45 seconds.
Can you believe that the government is taking down British flags?
And the ones that are up on the way down,
because it might be racist or
on the way down
to others. It's ridiculous.
No one local is going to take them down. And the motorway people can't take them down because this isn't on the motorway. This is above the motorway on a small country road. Some of them even small country footpaths. So unless the councils send them to take them down, and many of these rural councils are now reform controlled, they said they're not going to, those flags will stay up. So if you put one of those flags up, there's only one thing I can say, that if it stays up 3 months, absolutely wonderful. When it starts to look a bit tattered and faded, do spend a couple of quid and get another one to put in its place and keep our colours looking crisp and fresh. Right then. So this is not the same as banner drops, which are being done by various gangs of juveniles to express political opinions and the idea of we're being replaced, etc., etc. That is such a woefully pitiful thing for people to do who are supposed to be serious activists for our cause. Honestly,
Colin, are you agreeing with him?
But unless it's something to raise,
I usually watch Jada, but I haven't
on a huge scale to raise awareness of a specific thing. Free George, whatever his name was, years and years ago. Some of you old Brits will remember. That. Things like that. That was okay. But otherwise, it's ridiculous. But just putting one of our flags or a block of our flags on motorway service bridges or motorway bridges, done again and again and again, it shows our people and the others that this is our territory. It's all about tribalism and Ulsterisation. And it's very good. Marty BFP points out that Jade has also sent out another email for the Free Union flag, Operation Raise the Colours. Yeah, so do check your email.
Yeah, some people have been arrested for putting your own flag up. Can you believe that, Colin? And the other thing is, did you know that in England or Britain now, they're arresting 30 people a day for what you post and say? On average, about 30 people every single day, 7 days a week.
Because it might have gone into spam. You might have missed it. Right then, so let me carry on with what I want to tell you about.
The government's taking them down because they say the British flag is offensive. Can you believe that?
I want to show you a video. And now this I found a couple of days ago. This is General Sir Richard Kemp. Just get this lined up for you. Now, General Sir Richard Kemp is an interesting character. He's a senior spokesman for basically the British military establishment. He's been a rank, I mean that in a bad way, not a military rank. He's been one of the worst of the Ukraine neocon warhawks, saying, if we don't send arms to Ukraine in huge numbers, we don't help the Ukrainians win, and they can win. Lies, lies, lies. Then if we don't do that, there'll be Russian troops coming through London with their snow on their boots. Basically, that sort of nonsense. So he's completely in with the military elite, and he's in effect
the only ones you can offend is
something really interesting has happened. Where, as you know, we've been talking for several years now about the way in which the hardcore Likud Zionist multi-billionaire gang of semi-gangsters
are people having trouble
among
with
the funders of all sorts of things, including Wee Tommy,
Yeah, I'm seeing
that they've been pushing the idea of civil war.
Sometimes I have to refresh.
Assuming that the police and the British military establishment would think this was a really bad idea. But here's Richard Kemp, a spokesman for these people, saying this.
But the more it develops, and it is going to develop more and more, the more unrest we're going to see. And they have no option. And I'm not encouraging and I'm not kind of supporting this, but I think the people will feel they have no option other than to take action into
Something
their
like
own
the
hands
Nobel,
rather than rely on political leaders who are doing nothing in their eyes. So yeah, I think there's every likelihood. I don't know what the time frame is, but I would go far as to predict not just civil unrest, but civil war in the UK in the coming years if this situation continues, which I believe it will.
Now, what is going on? Is Kemp so much of a neocon, so much connected with the transatlantic power elite?
What is a Bonnie blue
although
flag?
He's officially part of the British Army intelligence, he's actually on side with people who want to tear Britain apart with a civil war that cannot be won.
I'm going to Google that.
It's rather unlikely, because he'd be so way out on a limb. I think he wouldn't go out on a limb. So I think there's something rather deeper going on here. And what it is may be explained by some material I know many of you have seen by a chap called David Betts. Now, David Betts is a Canadian. He's not from a family who came to East London in 1910 or whatever, and et cetera, et cetera. He's, I'm sure, a Canadian of German or perhaps Alsatian origin, and he's also Professor of War in the modern world at King's College London.
1 star.
But more than that, he's a senior lecturer and theorist of the British military elite intelligence side. Indeed, he actually helped to write NATO's official counterinsurgency doctrine. So this is a man who's completely and currently in bed with the British military intelligence elite. And he said, and I'll show you a clip in a little while if I've got time, he's now said repeatedly that it's too late to stop the whole of the West going up in flames. And he's saying this on all sorts. He's been on trigonometry recently.
Explain what a Bonnie blue flag is.
And so on. People for whom I have absolutely less than no time. The scum of the earth who want to force us into a civil war we can't win in order to make us so angry that we will let his cousins in occupied Palestine exterminate all the natives except the ones they send to us to make things even worse. So he's being interviewed by these people, but I don't think he's with them.
They come from the Muslim Brotherhood.
He's saying things for one reason, and they're taking him on board and giving him a platform for a wholly another. There's two different agendas working now, and I think the Betts is genuine. And I think that what I'm going to read you, which is the transcript of an interview he recently did with Louise Perry, who's a strange character. She's basically a sort of reformed feminist who's now realised that actually this is a Christian country. It's become a great thing because of Christianity. And while she calls herself a cultural Christian, it's the way to go. And she's actually saying all sorts of quite sensible things.
What the heck?
Although she is one of these people who basically is rather fond of a bit of diversity, as long as it's not Muslim. Anyway, Louise Perry on the Maiden Mother Matriarch site interviewed Betts, and she asked him, does the government realise just how dangerous what they're doing is in terms of winding people up? She says, why was the crackdown on the summer riots so harsh? Do they know it's a tinderbox? Or do you think they actually don't realise how dangerous the situation truly is? And Betts says this. If you want to watch the whole of the Betts Perry interview, it's about an hour in, by the way, before you get to this, hour and 3 minutes. He says, it's very perplexing. No, perplexing is not the word. It's dismaying for a person like me, who's been involved, as I said, in the study of counterinsurgency, in dialogue with government on this matter for 20 plus years. It's dismaying the way in which the government reacts. And there are lots of people. There are people in the British Army and in the security services who understand all of this extremely well. They've lived it. They've lived it. It's written down in the doctrine and it's taught in the staff colleges and so on and so forth. Then you look at the actions of the British government, and it seems like they're following some kind of game plan for destroying legitimacy. Perhaps I shouldn't use the expression game plan because that implies a directedness, but I'm not sure is there. But certainly, if you want to create domestic turmoil in a society, then what the British government has been doing is almost textbook exactly what you would do.
All the time.
And that's according to our own written down doctrinal understanding of things. So how to explain this disconnect with the way in which within the military, within the Ministry of Defence, within other parts of government, people understand this? With the way our governments behave domestically, there is quite obviously a disconnect. And I can't explain what government is thinking in doing this. But empirically, it's just a statement of fact that they are doing the things that are leading us to civil conflict, according to our well-established ideas about what causes civil conflict. So this is, I think, quite remarkable and a real sea change. And it indicates a clear split in what is generally the establishment between those who simply lost their minds and are still utterly committed to the failed liberal multi-cult thing of past years, and those who are saying, wait a minute, this is heading for disaster. And Betts, I don't for 1 minute believe he'd be in all these shows, and there's nothing in the newspapers saying the man's got to be sacked. So he's got very heavy support from sections of the establishment who are saying, who've suddenly woken up. I think like he has, he says, a few years ago, I didn't really get this, and I started looking, especially when the elite refused to deliver Brexit, and realising that it's destroying legitimacy, there's trouble on the way, and it's now too late to avoid civil war, and what we've got to do is work out ways to minimise its impact. He says, I really don't know how to do it, but we've got to start off by protecting our iconic cultural sites.
Hey,
and when things get really bad, we've got to have contingencies in force to make sure that our nuclear weapons don't fall into the wrong hands, because this society is going to collapse. And he also says it's not just here, it's basically the whole of Western Europe, France, Sweden, Germany, etc. That's what big sections of our military now believe. And this is not the same people as want it to happen. These are people who are just saying, oh my God, this is now going to happen. It's very, very significant. Right, it's 5:39, so I've got time to show you a bit more. So this is Professor Betts talking. Now this clip is 5 minutes 40 long. It's really a bit too long, and actually it should be clipped. The first 2 minutes are not particularly relevant, but so if you need to go and visit somewhere else, go now. You've got 2 minutes to do it. Perhaps you can make a cup of tea in that time. I don't know. I don't drink tea. But once you get 2 minutes in, and he's just talking about the potential casualty figures. And all of a sudden, this is material which, not that many years ago, only, for instance, the Templars and the Dale's Vault books, nobody else was talking about it. Certainly nobody who's respectable was talking about it. And as you'll hear, his estimate of the casualty figures between, I think it's 23,000 a year
Marianne, they lie so they can
4%
control
of the entire population of our island. In fact, the whole of Western Europe. So have a look at that. Now I'll let it play a little bit longer because there's also a final interesting endpoint to this. So here we have one of the main theoreticians and trainers of the top level of the British military establishment saying what's going to happen. As I say, you had to bear with the first 2 minutes, but this is really important.
For those for those countries which are heretofore highly functioning, highly advanced, and very well armed, specifically the nuclear powers, we haven't in history yet. We haven't had a nuclear power completely break down. Everybody now is just screaming USSR right now as I say these words. Yes, the USSR broke down, but one of the very significant aspects of the breakdown of the USSR was the continuing
John, they won't make the American flag?
Sovereignty over the USSR's nuclear assets. And after the collapse of the USSR, really there was a great deal of interest on the part of the international community, particularly led by the United States, but also on the part of the successor states, notably Russia, to keep control of that stuff for reasons that are completely obvious.
I'd write them and try to order some
but I think a bit of planning at this stage also about where all that stuff is. How is it accounted? How is it secured? What are the backup plans for if it becomes threatened? These are things that perhaps quietly, I don't know how you could do this quietly, but these are things that I would wish to think about. But the bottom line in answer to your question is, I don't think that there is now a political solution to this, which takes the form of everything just kind of working out okay after some period of difficulty. It is going to get, things are bad now, but they are going to get very much worse.
You think he's right?
Hopefully after they will get better. But you are going to have to go through a period of very much worse before you get there.
Okay,
do you envision many deaths?
Stars and bars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. I wouldn't be speaking if I didn't.
Hundreds of thousands?
I don't want to be drawn. I'd rather present a range.
Oh, Rickson.
If it is the case of, let's say things are only as bad as the worst year of Northern Ireland,
JB,
right? Which, if I recall correctly, is 1971, and about 500 deaths in a population of the Northern Ireland size. If you scale that up to the whole of the UK, you come to about 23,000, which is pretty bad. But that's kind of northern. I think that's bottom of the range.
Okay.
If you scale it to, say, Bosnia scale or Syria scale, or then you have a very much larger number. It's quite tricky, and I said I'm sure many people are already thinking I'm being alarmist, so I don't want to just throw out just a bunch of scary numbers. But if people were to look at the average number of deaths in civil conflicts, you're looking at 1 to 4% of the population, is entirely within the realm of possibility if you're on a Syria level scale. No, I don't think it's likely to get quite that scale, but that's the range, somewhere between
23K and 500K.
Yeah, it's a big. It's a big range, but I think a number in between. I'm sorry to be vague, but a number in between those is plausible. One is absolutely horrendous, and another is merely horrendous. I do think that there is going to be leaving aside.
Well, use an excuse to claim martial law.
the numbers of people killed. There's going to be massive economic and social damage, and people are going to be uprooted in very large numbers. So it's going to be...
I'm looking to sell my house somewhere else, because I don't say where I live, but and move to somewhere outside London.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend I don't do that now? Buy a house in the outskirts of London?
I leave it to you.
Well, I need your advice. I don't often speak to Civil War experts.
I would probably avoid the big cities. I would suggest that you reduce your exposure to the big cities. If you are...
I don't blame them.
Get out of the big cities. Who else has been telling you that? For how long? Nobody else. Basically, except me, Jim Dawson. That's it. And now,
coming to America,
senior military intelligence figures in the modern Western world is saying exactly the same thing. So if you thought perhaps we were a bit flaky and out on a limb, well, now we are not, are we? What did you think of that? What did you think of that? Eh? I think people actually would be fairly stunned by that. Certainly I was when I first saw it. But where does it leave us? Well, get over the cities. Now, Andrew Gold is interviewing him. He's one of the bad actors. Heretic Clips is just the same as Trigonometry Tommy, all the rest of it. Heritage Foundation, all people taking elements of truth about the Islamist problem and winding it up beyond belief because they want us so full of hate that all we want to do is support their kinsmen creating a greater Israel and create an unwinnable civil war here that goes on and on and on, because part of the Talmudic style prophecy that these crazies have is that the Edomites and basically how they see Europe will be and must be torn by war between Christians and Muslims for them to have their Messiah, the Antichrist, come back and establish them to rule the world. These people are bonkers. Now, I'm not saying Jews are bonkers. I'm saying these messianic Jewish Talmudists and the Zionists who sort of come from them and are mentally and spiritually related to them, I'm saying they're bonkers. Just as ultra fundamentalist pseudo-Christians, the rapture types, who say, Jesus is going to come back next week, we'll all be hoovered up into heaven, those of us who are good and the rest of you won't be, utterly heretical, barking mad crackpots. And for that matter, the Muslims. Most Muslims do not for 1 minute go along with the ISIS-type fanaticism, which is encouraged by particularly the Israeli intelligence services and the West also, with Al-Qaeda and so on, from the very beginning. Most Muslims don't go along with that. The idea that it's for humans to judge whether other people are proper Muslims or whether they're Kafirs or whatever doesn't fit in mainstream Muslim theory throughout history. It's heretical.
So, Colin,
the theory is the ones who judge. But those people exist in Muslim society, and they are very dangerous. Just as the Christian Zionists, who actually want basically to see some kind of Armageddon in the Middle East because it will spark the coming of Christ, heretically so,
and we can talk about
they are very dangerous. And so too are these Jewish messianic lunatics. They are very dangerous.
The problem with is too many Muslims will go along with
this sort of stuff are very dangerous, and like I say, they are bad
instead
actors.
Of speaking up
but I don't
against
think
extremists.
that David Betts is.
That's the issue.
I think he's genuine. I think this is a huge sea change that's going on. Regardless of that, in a way, let us suppose for 1 minute that David Betts is not genuine in terms of wanting the best for Britain and the British people. Let's suppose he's completely captured by these people who want to create. He's saying a civil war is going to come about. It doesn't mean he wants it. But let's just for 1 minute suppose he's actually playing a clever game. He's fooled Nick Griffin. It's not that difficult to do. And he's just the same as Andrew Gold and Konstantin Kisin and all the rest of them. even if that's the case, if people with that much power and that much influence want a civil war and are hell-bent on creating it, you can bet your life that they are going to get it.
Does anyone ever go to jail, Colin, there for rape?
Take notice.
Sound like it,
get
hardly.
the hell out of
Only
Dodge
when people raise hell
while you can. But don't regard this as a black pill, not for 1 minute. I want to show you one more video clip. Time is racing on. This has got to be done because this sets the whole thing in perspective. This is supposed to be a man of God.
How queer was Jesus? He was an observant Jew, but he was 30 years old, no wife, no job, hung out with 12 other dudes. That's pretty queer.
Oh, bullcrap.
Queering the Bible takes Jesus and other outsiders and religiously stigmatized folks in the past and juxtaposes them with contemporary queer folks and Christians. Realize
this guy's sickening.
I could go on, but I can't stomach any more of that.
Me
and
either.
The biggest problem is not that creature is saying it, but there's not a hail of footstools and other items lying around the church from the congregation. There's not people getting up there and dragging him off and carting him out and tar and feathering him or whatever. No, he's saying it. People are just listening. And you might think, well, he's rather exceptional, but exceptionally wicked. Is he? The ordinary, not wicked people of Britain have murdered 10 million of their own babies since 1968. Americans, even more. Russians,
it's kind of like here in America,
and no one ever goes to jail, even compared to the West, still murder hundreds of thousands of their own babies in the womb every single year. So the disgusting creepiness of this thing.
How queer was Jesus? He was an observant Jew.
He's actually nothing like as evil as what all our societies perpetrate every single day of the week, every single week of the year.
Yeah.
Which means that a divine reckoning is coming. Which means that those who worry with some good reason about when it all kicks off, the Muslims are going to be a real big problem. The Africans could be violent and really, really troublesome, but they're not organised, and they haven't got a cohesion in the way that the Muslims have. So, if they manage to push us into this civil war, it's going to primarily be the Muslims and their allies against everybody else. And where does this fit into the Bible? That the Muslims are the sons of Ishmael. The Muslims are there historically throughout the sin cycle of the Old Testament. The sons of Ishmael are used as the instruments of God's punishment to try to drive his people back to decency and goodness and back to him. They are the Lord's chastening rod. And their descendants are the Muslims. So, good, bad, or indifferent,
split from Jews.
They're part of God's plan too.
It's my understanding.
And the plan is to use them and the pain that they will inflict on our society in order to drive us back to faith and decency and God. It's all planned. It'll all come right in the end. Don't take this as a black pill, but do get the hell out of the cities and get those who you love.
Would you agree with him, Colin?
Well. There's many other constructive things can be done, which actually I'll come on to in another show pretty soon. But for now, time is up. So I'm going to have to love you and leave you. And I will leave you with a song that was recommended and in effect requested a couple of weeks ago here in the chat. So you see, we do listen. I think it might have been Ivan Cooper, actually. This is John Bunyan's To Be a Pilgrim, sung by the great English folk singer of the English folk revival, Maddie Pryor from Steel Eye Span, who's still going strong. This is actually Maddie Pryor and the Carnival Band singing
you'll like this,
the great hymn by John Bunyan, which comes from Proverbs 4.
Programming note, I should be on
over
the weekend at 6 p.m.
I'm going to leave you with this
Saturday
fantastic piece of music of our religious heritage, of our cultural heritage, and of our faith, and of the folk songs that I love
5 p.m.
in a moment.
All times
until Next week, I wish you farewell and remind you that freedom is never free.
I agree.
Because the tree of liberty must be watered from time to time with the blood of martyrs and of tyrants. There's Volt.
Oh, I hear you, Colin. You probably like this one, Colin. So again, I should be on 6 p.m. both days on the weekend, and then Monday, I think at 5 with a guest. Running for office.
Who would true valor see? Let him come hither. One here will constant be, come wind, come weather. There's no discouragement shall make him once relent his first avowed intent to be a pilgrim. Whoso beset him round
the way the song is, it sounds like it was written, right around the colonial
but themselves confound his strength the more is. No lion can him fright, hail with a giant fight, but he will have a right to be a pilgrim.
Should be starting right about now. It should be Rebel Chicks as well. It's only got about 30 seconds left on this.
Hobgoblin or foul fiend can daunt his spirit. He knows he at the end shall life inherit. No lion can him fright, hail with a giant fight, but he will have a right to be a pilgrim.
God bless everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.